What is going on, YouTube? So I wanted to come back today with, I guess, a take of mine, or I guess at least an idea that, in my mind, could work, but also it's kind of like a low risk sort of situation for a lot of teams that would be looking to pursue him this summer. And that's the case of Isaiah Thomas. Now, the former Celtics, let's see here, Celtics, Nuggets, Cavaliers, Kings. I think that covers the depth of the teams, and the Lakers for a stretch of time. And then the Phoenix Suns for a bit, too. He's been on quite a few teams. Point guard, though, 5'9", former star, Isaiah Thomas. Now, he has an interesting situation coming this summer because I don't know if he has... if he's ever really had as down of a season as he had in 2018-19 with the Nuggets. He just wasn't very good all around for the first time in a while, and this has actually just been more ringing true lately. Isaiah Thomas posted a player efficiency rating well below 10, and also his defensive rating was much higher than his offensive rating, and his offensive rating at that was not very good. So I think, and he played in less than 20 games with the Nuggets. I do know that. Isaiah Thomas is going to be a point guard a lot like Derrick Rose this summer, in the sense that he'll be looking around for a job as a former star. It could work out well. I mean, Derrick Rose had a bounce-back season with the Timberwolves. I think he found himself in a perfect situation in a low-pressure market and with a team that's not going to make him play too many minutes, and that's going to be a good situation for him to stay in. Maybe not necessarily with the Timberwolves, but in a similar situation to that. Isaiah Thomas, though, I mean, honestly, big markets tend to do better for him than small markets. I'm trying to look back here at the numbers he had with the Lakers. I mean, in terms of where he's been, or in terms of like the last three teams he's been with, he posted his best numbers with the Lakers comparatively to Cleveland and Denver. And then obviously his best career numbers were coming with the Celtics, barring the beginning of his career with the Kings, showing that he at least thrives in big markets. Now, obviously the Chicago Bulls are a big market team. They're looking for at least a point guard that's not going to command a max contract this summer. I just don't know if they have enough cap room to do that. Now, the ultimate targets for the Chicago Bulls tend to be, from what I've heard, D'Angelo Russell if Kyrie ends up going to the Nets. Also, Malcolm Brogdon if the Bucks don't end up matching his offer sheet or just re-sign him, just managing to re-sign him. Isaiah Thomas would be more on that end of the spectrum with Derrick Rose, to where obviously it would take some convincing for the fans, but I think there's a legitimate case to be made for the value that he would bring to the table. Now, the problem with Isaiah Thomas is going to be if the Bulls are – I think if you have Isaiah Thomas, you're going to have to run a three-man point guard rotation. You're probably going to have to keep Archie or Shaq Harrison around, and then you're going to have to bring in another point guard either via free agency or the NBA draft. I just don't think Kris Dunn's – that's going to be a weird point guard rotation with Isaiah Thomas, Kris Dunn, and Ryan Arcidiacono or Shaq Harrison. So in terms of like a pairing there, if the Bulls do manage to scoop up a player like Coby White, if Darius Garland slips down, I think both those guys would be good. If Isaiah Thomas does manage to stay healthy there, then you could have a three-point guard rotation that's not going to put too much pressure on the shoulders of any of those three players. Also, you're going to have two point guards at least. You're going to have one in either Darius Garland or Coby White that could assume the starting role for the bulk of the season. Also a quality point guard option there. And then if Isaiah does stay healthy and gets at least a decent level of production back, then he could kind of be a solid backup there. Also a veteran point guard and still maybe a little motivation in whoever he is starting over. And also he could just be a talented player that the Bulls have that has a pretty high ceiling still off the bench. Now, looking at what Isaiah Thomas would be right now in terms of like a tangible contract, age, all that sort of stuff, I believe he will be 30 years old at the tip-off of the 1920 NBA season. He will turn 31 as the season moves along. He fits the profile of what the Bulls would be looking for in terms of like a low risk, I would say medium reward type player. Much better than the rumored Chris Paul deal they had in store. A player that's mostly going to, I believe he's going to average like $41 million a year over the next 3 years. So Isaiah Thomas, you could probably get on a deal here for close to a minimum, depending on the amount of suitors that he has. I know that one rumored suitor for him lately has been the Miami Heat. Miami Heat also looking at J.R. Smith. know what's going on there. Who knows? But interesting situation with Isaiah Thomas if he does go back to a big market. I don't think he's going to go back and join LeBron. I just think that he's already had enough stints at a team that either LeBron is with now or has been in the past. So I think he wants to shy away from that. Now, I think that the Bulls are an interesting situation for Isaiah Thomas also because of the supporting cast that he would have. He had a decent supporting cast, by no means any superstars in Boston. He definitely thrived in that role. It was also a young Boston roster at the time. That does mirror a little bit what Chicago has right now. With the core that is like Wendell, Zach LaVine, Otto Porter, Larry Markkinen, all them, even going down to like Hutch and Denzel Valentine. So I do think that his presence in the locker room would be a positive one. They need some veteran voice there, kind of like Robin. I almost think like Robin Lopez was for them last season because Robin Lopez was one of the better centers actually in the NBA in the last 2 months of the regular season. He actually had put up some pretty insane numbers. Even if the Bulls could get Isaiah Thomas back to a mark that is like 41, 42% from the field, like 36, 37% from 3-point range. I think he is like a career, 38% 3-point shooter? 36. So, I mean, he could get back up to that mark. And the Bulls definitely could use a point guard that could space the floor, distribute a little bit better. In terms of those qualities that the Bulls definitely need, just a floor general overall, he can be solid on both ends of the court. Isaiah Thomas definitely fits that mold. Now, the downsides to signing Isaiah Thomas are obviously there. His production has definitely fallen off lately. He's by no means a young and promising point guard anymore. And then obviously the injury issues that he's had lately in the last, was it 3 of the last 5 seasons, 3 of the last 6, he's played in less than 25 games. In the last 2, he has played 44 games combined. So you're going to you can't put too much stress on him early. Same thing that a Derrick Rose signing would be. But I think there's 3 obvious downsides here. But to the same note, this would be like a low risk move. He wouldn't command a large price tag. If he's out there and like the point guard options are nearly exhausted for the Bulls, I'd say go in and grab him. Again, guy still has the potential to be a solid, maybe 6th or 7th man. I wouldn't say I wouldn't expect him to be a starting caliber point guard. Could it happen? Sure. But he has a long way to go to get to that point. But also, again, I think it's just an interesting move to talk about for the Bulls just because it seems like almost every avenue has been explored for the point guard situation. Just because it seems like everyone's so eager to move on from Kris Dunn or at least find a new solution to pair with the rest of this young core that the Bulls have. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I wanted to do a quick video on that. I guess 8 minutes now, not too quick. But give my take on Isaiah Thomas here. He's definitely one of the forgotten free agents of the offseason. Also want to know too, Rajon Rondo. There's been a few point guards that have been talking about going to Chicago that they've either been there once or would be an interesting fit now. Anyway, that's pretty much it. See ya.